Theresa May is about to trigger Article 50. We have polling that suggests that more than half of the British population support her, that believe that she is doing a good job. Are you not worried that, from your point of view at least, the train has now left the station?
Yeah, of course. We're very anxious about this. But the truth is that we haven't yet seen what the real terms of our departure are. We don't really know yet what Brexit means. We have taken the decision over the past few months, which wasn't clear, by the way, at the time of the Brexit vote, that we're going to leave the single market, the customs union. About 2/3 of our trade will now, the arrangements will have to be renegotiated. Actually, the amount of immigration we're going to stop is probably around 12% of the total we will have control over. Most of that immigration is not really immigration that's going to impact the people of the country. So, you know, yes, of course, what the government want to say is the train's left the station. There's no way it's ever going to be derailed. We've just got to go ahead. But my view is that once people see the pain-gain ratio, in reality, not claim and counterclaim, but facts, then I think they may well change their mind.
Do you think facts are going to change people's minds? This was an emotional decision in many ways by the British people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think you're right that the emotions were a very strong part of it. But, you know, if people, for example, think the government is so obsessed with Brexit that it so dominates everything, they're not dealing with our healthcare problems, our unemployment problems, social care, rising crime, you know, then I think people will start to say, well, hang on a minute, actually, we want a government focused on those things.
Mr. Prime Minister, good morning. I was quite taken by the emotion of your speech and your bluntness and directness. Our global audience knows the Labour Party of Blair, of Gordon Brown, of Alistair Darling, etc., and now it's become a jumble. Who did you speak for today? You didn't speak for today's Labour Party, did you?
Well, parts of it probably, but not its leadership, no. But I think, you see, this thing with Brexit is part of a much, much bigger debate. It's really about globalization. It's about what I would call the open-minded approach to the world versus the closed-minded. Now, the reality is that that distinction goes across traditional boundaries of left and right. And so, you know, I think, in a way, what I was articulating was a feeling and a sense that some people in the Conservative Party will agree with, people in the Liberal Democrats, and some people in Labour. It's not really a sort of partisan position, but I think it's a position that has a lot of support, particularly amongst younger people.
What is the middle ground that Prime Minister May must move to? Identify the compromises or the most important compromises that you would suggest the Prime Minister should make.
I think the key thing is that we retain the ability to trade in an easy way with our main trading partners, and we certainly maintain close links around issues like defence, security, the environment, and so on. The problem, though, and this is the problem, to be fair to the Prime Minister, she faces, and she's, you know, this is not an easy task, and I'm, at one level, deeply sympathetic to her about it. But the problem is there are no easy ways of maintaining all those links whilst doing what the people on the right, who are really driving this agenda, the far right, want. So if, for example, you don't want people from Europe to come here, or you want big restrictions on them, it's very hard to reconcile that with membership of the single market. You see what I mean? So I think the problem is I can say what I think she should do from the perspective of what would be in the interest of the country, but I'm not sure it's negotiable given the red lines she set herself.
How does change get affected here? I'm curious to see how you think the mechanism will work. Parliamentarians have largely backed the Prime Minister. They have made it very clear that they feel, whether or not they think she's on the right course, that they will back her. Will the House of Lords, are you arguing that the House of Lords should step in? Are you calling for another referendum? You've argued against kind of governing by referendum in the past. What exactly are you arguing for in here in terms of the process?
Yeah, so this is a really important point. Right now, there is no way that the many millions of people who feel that this decision is wrong and who particularly now think we are going down the route of Brexit at any cost, right? There is no way they can articulate their feelings. So what I'm saying is all these different groups in different political parties who are agitating around this issue, who are saying, come on, let's actually think what we're doing here, that we've got to combine together. And then, frankly, members of Parliament who at the moment feel, look, OK, this is just going to happen, so what's the point of me speaking out against it? You've got to give them the strength, the courage, the protection, if you like, to be able to say, well, hang on, my constituents are now saying to me, we need certain guarantees about this, or my constituents are now saying to me, we don't like the way this is turning out.
Are you suggesting they coalesce around you? Are you the right person for this? And if so, if you're not, who is?
Well, I don't know that I don't think you need a person. I think you need a movement. I think you need, I mean, the one advantage...
Somebody's got to start this.
Well, I think there are lots of people already starting it. The question is really how you coordinate it, and that's for the different leaders of the different groups to come together and different people in different political parties to come together. But it's not, you know, one advantage of today's politics is that it does change fast. So I just think, you know, right now we need to be making the arguments, getting out to people the facts, and then tracking very carefully this negotiation. Remember, we haven't yet begun the process of negotiation. So we don't know what terms we're being offered. Once we know, we've surely got a right to say we like it or we don't like it.
Prime Minister, on this show the other day, Deutsche Bank suggested that we would see a substantially weaker pound sterling, that we would see a depreciation in pound sterling given Brexit and given the path of the United Kingdom economy. How much depreciation in sterling can all of the United Kingdom take?
Well, that is a very good question, and it goes directly to what I'm saying, because, you know, I don't think people expected this, who voted for Brexit really expected a large fall in sterling. I don't think they quite appreciated this was the financial markets' future, you know, prediction, as it were, that as to the course of the British economy. And already some of the imported foodstuffs and the things that people rely on in the shops has started to go up, so our inflation rate is going up. That's a classic example of where, as the pain of this becomes clear, people are going to say, OK, so let's go back and ask why we really did this. And I think when you do that, you go back to certain things and certain problems that when you analyze it, Brexit isn't really going to affect those things. So this is a very good example of exactly what I'm saying.
Mr. Prime Minister, I have to ask a delicate question, and it has to do with a firestorm in Washington at this time. It is presumed that the President will visit Prime Minister May. Should he be allowed to speak and to enter Westminster Hall at your House of Commons?
Well, whether he enters Westminster Hall and addresses the House of Parliament, that's a matter for Parliament, and I won't comment on it. But of course he will come here and look, whatever the situation is, the British-American relationship is important. I certainly am not criticizing the Prime Minister for reaching out to President Trump. It's important that she builds a strong relationship. And frankly, right now, I've got enough in my hands without entering into your political debate.
Final question. We sit here in the City of London. Should the financial services sector be protected in this whole process? And again, the debate in the last few days about Vauxhall and its future, and what could happen there, and the deal that was given to Nissan. How can individual parts of the British economy be protected? Should individual parts be protected, or should actually be a level playing field? Well,
I think for the financial sector, it's such a huge part of our economy. We've got to make sure the arrangements are satisfactory. But you see, there again, I think it's hard to do that. You know, you can move to sort of equivalence arrangements, but that doesn't really deal with the problems the financial sector has. And again, my worry is that the financial sector, unless it's given some fairly clear guarantees soon, will start to make decisions in advance of what the final outcome is of the negotiation. So we have to see.